The Reserve Bank scales back growth targets. The Reserve Bank of India Governor Sanjay Malhotra on Wednesday said that more than inflation, the central bank is concerned about the impact of US tariffs on growth. During a post-monetary policy press conference in Mumbai, he said that the Reserve Bank had lowered the growth forecast primarily because of tariff-related uncertainties. Earlier, the Reserve Bank's bi-monthly Monetary Policy Committee decided to lower its GDP growth forecast for 25-26 from 6.7% to 6.5%. Inflation projections were also lowered from 4.2 to 4%. The governor also hinted at another reduction in key policy rates by changing the central bank's monetary stance to accommodative from neutral, which may further also lower EMIs for consumers, according to that Business Standard report. He also said that amidst this turbulence, the US dollar has weakened appreciably, bond yields have softened significantly, equity markets are correcting, and crude oil prices have fallen to their lowest in over 3 years. He also said, and something business leaders have been saying, that first and foremost, uncertainty in itself dampens growth by affecting investment and spending decisions both of businesses and households. Second, the dent on global growth due to trade frictions will also impede domestic growth. And third, higher tariffs shall have a negative impact on net exports. I reached out to Deepti Deshpande, director and principal economist at ratings agency CRISIL, and I began by asking her what were the key takeaways from the Reserve Bank's rate cut and what impact it could have in the near to medium term.
See, the trade shock has unsettled the global landscape quite a bit. And it's really the spillovers when it comes to the Indian economy that we're more concerned about, because we remain a domestic dependent economy. It's not the direct impact as much, but more so what can happen out of these crossfires. And I think in this situation, what's required is that policy remains vigilant to understand the magnitude of the hit or even to seize an opportunity if required. And also it requires policy preparedness. So if you look at today's monetary policy, I think what was very clear is a reflection of the fact that there is an uncertainty and there's also this constant shadow looming over us all the time of what could happen to weather, for instance. So I think there's a nice way to put it. If you look at it, there's a 3C approach. So there seems to be confidence on the inflation trajectory because it's revised down its forecast by 20 basis points on CPI inflation. And that's backed by the assumption of favorable agriculture output, lower global prices, etc. The second C is, the caution on the growth front, because it's revised its growth forecast down 20 basis points as well, assuming there are some trade concerns, etc. But it also derives comfort from the domestic drivers that will support growth. And the third C, the way I look at it, is cushion, for the economy through policy support, because that can come in by lowering interest rates. And a key thing to note really is that despite these downward revisions on growth and inflation, the growth inflation mix remains favorable. So lower inflation, which durably now is going to be around the central bank's target of 4%, at least for the next 12 months on an average basis, opens up policy space for further rate cuts. We expect 2 more rate cuts. Net, I think lower rates are growth positive, and they deliver a cushion to growth if global shocks are, going to be much more harder than expected.
So you talked about spillovers. So one spillover or set of spillovers we can clearly see is that which is impacting industries who are exporting. It could be apparel, it could be jewelry, it could be pharmaceuticals if those tariffs are announced in the next day or so. As an economist, what are the kind of spillovers that you're expecting or bracing for?
Right. So see, I think regardless of we've seen a number of global shocks over the last 2 to 3 years, and we're looking at a very simplistic but a clear framework. What are the linkages that the Indian economy could have via, say, capital flows, what it could have via exports, and what it could be via input costs? Now, when you look at this simplistic framework, there are direct linkages or a direct impact or an indirect impact. The direct impact is, of course, like you said, what exporters face from US demand getting slower or weaker. But then there's also the demand of weaker global growth. And I think that is more concerning because it's not just the US that we export to, but the EU is also a very large trade partner. Asia in itself is a large trade partner. Weaker China will also have implications on the rest of Asia, for instance. On the indirect part, what's important is, for instance, what happens if China has surpluses tomorrow. If those surpluses get pushed onto the Indian economy via cheaper inputs, that's beneficial for our manufacturers. But if it comes in through cheaper imports of intermediate goods or finished goods, then that's where the worry is. The government will have safeguards in place up to an extent, but I think that's where we need to worry about. Besides the real economy, I think the first line of hit so far has been capital flows and the rupee. And the nervousness in global financial markets is what we need to really brace ourselves for. From an external account position, we've been maintaining the fact that the external account vulnerability for India is quite low. We're in a safe spot today because our forex reserves are ample, external liabilities are low, etc. But yet, I think this is a massive shock, and we need to, like I said earlier, be vigilant on what these linkages and impact could be.
And let me come back to the interest rate cut. This is the second one and in pretty short time. So, what is the impact that this could have more specifically in the near to medium term, even as we speak of more cuts?
So this policy had two sides to it. Number one was the second consecutive 25 basis points rate cut, and there was a change in stance. Now, what the change in stance does is that it tells us for sure about two things. One is there will be no rate hike here on. There will be a rate cut in the base case. And at the same time, it also allows the RBI to go in for a policy where they don't do anything at all. Now, that could be a situation where they want to sort of wait and watch how the transmission is going through. So, see, rate cuts take time to percolate into the economy via lower lending rates, and at times it also requires a nudge by the RBI. So, they could use some policy space or some policy meetings to really bring about that nudge. However, I think our expectation is that singularly the impact of lower lending rates on growth is more likely to materialize in the second half of this fiscal. But meanwhile, we shouldn't also forget that there are some other support factors: lower inflation, the tax reliefs that got announced in the budget, etc., and better agri incomes. These are expected to start supporting growth in the meanwhile. And I think lower interest rates, when they work their way into the economy, will provide that required lift and hold up consumption growth, at least in the short term.
So, you talked about nudge, and I'm assuming this would be the second time the Reserve Bank would nudge banks to reduce the actual cost of borrowing. So, I mean, are you getting a sense that transmission is good, it's slow, or it's delayed?
It's too early. I think we just started in Feb and it's now, and they have a mix. They can not just use, like we always say, there are three tools that the RBI has been, or the MPC has been employing for a while. One is the rate action, the other is liquidity management, and the third is communication. So let's wait for all these three to play their role. And then I think we can talk about lending rates. It's typically the case when the RBI starts cutting rates, it's a little sticky on the downside. So it's too early to say that, it's rigid or whatever. I think we need to give it some more time.
So, you're saying usually it's 2 to 3 quarters before you start seeing any evidence of.
Yeah, it's 2 to 3 quarters. That's right. Yeah. But then in case of impact on growth, like I said, there are other factors at play as well. So it's going to not be as easy to pull that impact out.
In a very broad sense, I know consumers are also maybe slowing down on loans because the Reserve Bank has been tightening risk weightages and so on. But what's your sense on the demand side? I mean, assuming, let's say, the nudges happen and the transmission happens, how's demand looking to you very broadly?
See, I think the demand, we should look at numbers. If you look at the FY25 growth rate, the sharp pickup in private consumption growth was also led by a very low base of the previous year. So we certainly cannot expect growth to be that high year on year. But I think if you look at private consumption growth, the trend rate of growth is about 6.5%. So even if we get about 6.5% growth in private consumption, that's fair and that's healthy. So I think driven by these factors where, like I said earlier, there is confidence. There's confidence that agri incomes are strong. There's confidence on the impact of some of the tax reliefs. So, tax cuts, and I think that will benefit. In fact, an analysis that some of my colleagues from the industry segment did, they went and highlighted, for instance, which are the segments which could benefit out of these tax cuts. They added another element to it. Which of these within the middle income segments have relatively moderate or low penetration? One of them turned out to be washing machines. So I think washing machines, air conditions, real estate, some of these do have the opportunity or the chance to do better this year.
So, any takeaways from the overall body language of the Reserve Bank's announcement and their interactions today, or rather on Wednesday?
The rate cuts, it was an apt environment because you're seeing lower growth, but you're also seeing lower inflation. So that gives them window, like I said earlier. But other than that, I think overall, if you read the note and if you hear the statement, it gives you confidence on how domestic drivers are expected to pan out, but it also highlights some caution. And I think acknowledging both of these in this environment is good because it gives some predictability on what exactly is the RBI looking at number one, number two, number three before they take any monetary policy action. So I think brings in a little more certainty, if I may say so, in this very uncertain environment.
Deepti, thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you.